Tom, the well-traveled American here. 16 February 2026. And this time I have a message for my friends over in Europe. Hey, France has got a pretty nice aircraft carrier. In fact, it's the only nuclear aircraft carrier in the world outside of the 11 that the United States has. France sent its nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, named the Charles de Gaulle, after the famous World War II general and later president of France, and its escort fleet towards the North Atlantic. UK is going to deploy a carrier strike group to the North Atlantic. High North, a high priority, while America deals with the coming war in the Middle East. Interesting. U.S. forces initiated an aggressive high-seas seizures of Russian-linked Shadow Fleet tankers in the North Atlantic. Well, not only in the North Atlantic, we've gone after them in the Caribbean, of course, in the Atlantic, in the Indian Ocean, in the Pacific Ocean, pretty much all over the world, often operating ahead of or despite of hesitant European enforcement acts. Yeah. Well, Americans getting it done. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, American does the heavy lifting. A second carrier strike group, including the USS Ford, the U.S.'s most advanced and largest aircraft carrier in the world, going to send that over to help out with the USS Lincoln that's already on station off of the coast of Oman, as far as we know. There has also been an ongoing and steady flow of American Air Force transport aircraft into the area and fighter aircraft into the area, escorted in by tankers, aerial refueling tankers, KC-10s and KC-135s. I understand also we're sending over some V-22 Raptors, the most advanced stealth fighter aircraft in the world. They were the ones who led in the strike on Fordo with the B-2 stealth bombers. Things starting to get a little serious here in the Middle East. Yes, indeed. The Ayatollah doesn't seem like he wants to back down. I guess we're going to play that game a little bit. And Europe's still thinking they're doing their part. Spending, which they finally come up to share on after 75 years of ignoring NATO spending rates. Finally, they're getting there with that monetarily. But it's not the only thing that needs to happen. How about assume a little risk? How about do a little flexing, as they say in the military world, in the diplomatic world? This is where America is. And sadly, this is the reality for Europe. Hey, you're going to have to get serious if anybody's going to take you seriously. You've got to actually put some people in harm's way. Got to actually, step up to the plate, step up to the bar. And I know there's going to be a lot of you thinking, oh, Tom's American, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, think I'm overstating this? Let me show you something here. Here's something to ponder, Europe. Russia's so-called, quote, shadow fleet made 292 voyages through Danish territorial waters in the Baltic in 2025. And you thought I was overstating things, eh? I don't think so. You, Europe, have passed your own sanctions on the Russian shadow fleet, and yet you sit and do very little about it. I know, we hear the occasional, oh, we stopped a Russian ship. Yeah, 292 passages through the Danish Straits up there. Yeah, totally narrow NATO territory. Hey, Turkey has stepped up to the plate with the Montrose Convention and not allowed any Russian warships in or out of the Black Sea. I mean, Come on, Europe, you've got to start really getting serious about this. You want this war to drag on forever? It's just going to cost more and more and more. But the big thing is, what it really costs is Ukrainian lives. Have you no shame? You're going to let Ukraine bleed to death until you decide to actually do something? And that day will come when the Russians finally overcome Ukrainian resistance and start attacking the Polish border, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. You guys actually understand it. I know you're stepping up with what you got, and you're doing an exemplary amount of giving and participating. But the rest of Europe's got to stand up. That means France and England, Great Britain to be sure. You're the ones who actually have a little bit of a navy out there still. How about putting it to some good use? Droning around on an exercise up in the North Atlantic. Hey, not impressed. Not impressed the least. The real action now is down there in the Gulf, the Persian Gulf. That's where we're going to see some activities. That's where the show is. So you're going to have to step up and, assume a little risk. Put it all on the back and shoulder of the Americans, but yet again, no wonder we're irritated over here. Think about it. Why should we be the only ones that gotta, spend our blood and treasure? This is, an unequal partnership. You want to be treated like an equal partner, you got to actually play that part, which means not only anteing up with some money, but you got to assume some actual physical risk with your men and equipment. Lord knows, the United States has been doing it. And I know, Europeans, you sent some people over to the Middle East now and then. I understand that. Don't let me forget Canada. Yeah, the lowest contributing NATO member ever. Please, enough up there with Canada. You really, freedom isn't free. It costs a lot. Ask those who've actually brought freedom to the world. We have here in America, and we've paid the price for it. That's why we have the arrogant attitude we have. We've earned it. And I'm going to tell you a little something. Here's how it's going to work. If the Ukrainians get ground down and Russia absorbs the vast proportion of their country and people, while you sit there and do very little, if anything, except hot air, those people will then become Russian citizens. Russia will turn them against Europe in a heartbeat. And you know what? I wouldn't mess with those people. They're actually highly skilled soldiers. Highly skilled. You want them under the Russian banner? I don't think it's a good idea. I don't. Won't end well for everyone if that happens. It's time to take things in hand. Last video I took on the Trump administration for not getting things done in a timely fashion. Well, better late than never, I guess. You guys over in Europe, you're way behind us even, and that's really pathetic. It's not helpful to the cause. Every day Ukrainians die so that the rest of the world can remain free. Every day. Not just the soldiers on the front line, but the civilians, the children, the grandmothers, as Russia attempts to freeze them out and starve them to death in the winter. Show a little humanity. Step up. Be part of the big boys club. Get it done. Iran has to be stopped, which will in turn greatly assist Putin in being reined in. All right. It's 16 February, and I think I've said enough tonight with this not-so-pleasant topic. I wish there were more pleasant topics out there. There just aren't. Things are not really all that well in the world right now. but I'm not here to like make everybody feel good. That's not what I do. I'm here to bring you the truth and reality of the world out there as it actually is, the unvarnished truth, as they say. Okay, I am out of here.